How to get rid of cluster flies. The sudden appearance of big flies on house walls or windowsills, especially in winter, is likely cluster flies. These oversized swarming black flies are not ordinary house flies. Cluster flies overwinter in the warmth between the inside and outside walls of your home, the attic, or the basement. They generally stay in secluded areas until spring's warming and lengthening days bring them out of hiding. Cluster flies enter your house by finding a passage through cracks and openings. Cluster flies are an indoor nuisance, but they are not breeding in your walls, and unlike horseflies, they do not bite. Cluster flies feed on plant nectar, and larvae feed on earthworms. At the end of winter, they emerge to find a way out of your home. The following tips will help you identify and learn how to eliminate cluster flies in your home. Signs of cluster flies. These flies typically live outdoors and are most likely to appear in the spring and fall. But overwintering cluster flies can emerge into homes throughout the winter. Cluster flies don't cause much of a problem beyond annoyance. They do not cause home damage, mate inside the home, or eat anything indoors. They prefer plant nectar as their food of choice and lay eggs in the soil near earthworm burrows. However, they can leave tiny dots of excrement where they cluster, and large numbers can be a significant nuisance within a home. Welcome to Best Choices. How to get rid of cluster flies. Number 1. Swat or vacuum the visible flies. Cluster flies are sluggish, so it is relatively easy to swat or vacuum them. This method is a more natural way to get rid of cluster flies. Insecticides can kill the flies harboring within walls. Still, it's best to avoid insecticides because many dead or dying flies can attract secondary pests, such as beetles and rodents. As you get rid of them, more are likely to emerge, causing an ongoing process of swatting and vacuuming. It may be exasperating, but this is one of the more effective natural ways to stop cluster flies from returning to your home. Number 2. Use traps or flypaper. Cluster flies are relatively easy to trap using flypaper or sticky traps, or mixing a sweet water solution in a jar with a lid opening large enough for the flies to enter. 1. Like any flies, cluster flies are attracted to sweets and rotting food. Make sure to empty the jar regularly. Number 3. Spray an approved indoor pesticide. Insect sprays are a fast solution for getting rid of bugs. If thinking about an indoor insect spray, consider pyrethrins, an extract from chrysanthemum flowers that kills cluster flies quickly. Use it lightly and aim it directly at the flies. Pyrethrins are found in several commercial products but are not completely harmless. They are toxic to fish, so keep them out of water supplies. Pyrethrins are low in toxicity to humans and other mammals. Also, get pyrethrins, not pyrethroids, a synthetic version. Warning: pyrethrins are less toxic pesticides, but they will kill all insects, including beneficial pollinators. Use them to target specific visible pests, not as a broadcast spray. Read labels carefully, as some products include additional ingredients with differing toxicity levels. Number 4. Seal interior cracks and gaps. Fill interior and exterior cracks and find the source where flies get into the house or the walls. Flies can't become an indoor annoyance unless there are crevices for them to get in and out. Remember that flies can fit through minor cracks along windows, door frames, and baseboards. Stop their access by caulking or filling all cracks and crevices, including around doors and windows, around electrical outlets, around vent registers, at the joints between baseboards and flooring. Number 5. Clear the yard of any debris. Keep your yard clear of any debris. This includes things like leaves, branches, and other organic materials. This debris attracts them as it acts as a safe home for cluster flies to keep their eggs and build nests. Number 6. Seal the food kept outside, especially sweets. One of the reasons for spotting a lot of cluster flies in the house all of a sudden could be the food kept outside. Make sure the food kept outside is sealed tightly to prevent cluster flies from getting to it. This is especially important for sweets that attract them more. Number 7. Remove any lingering water. Another common cause of cluster flies in the home is the readily available water for them. They are attracted to water. So it is important to remove any sources of water that you may have around your home. This includes things like puddles, bird baths, and pet dishes. Did this video help you? Let's comment below, yes or no. People also ask. 1. Where do cluster flies come from? You may be amazed to know the number of entry points your home hosts for cluster flies. Doors, windows, loose electrical outlets, roof eaves, openings around cables and pipes, and vents are all entry points for cluster flies inside a house. 2. What's the most effective cluster fly treatment? The most effective cluster fly treatment are smoke bombs and foggers, but it's recommended to have a professional do this because the fumes can also be harmful to human respiratory systems. Expert pest controllers will have all the equipment to ensure safe and effective cluster fly treatment, so you needn't risk your health and you'll be able to enjoy a fly-free home. 3. How to prevent cluster flies. Seal the holes and crevices on your home's foundation, roof lines, walls, vents, etc., especially on the west and south side. It will help prevent cluster flies from entering warm hiding areas. Make sure the windows and doors are tightly fitting, the exterior moldings are properly caulked, and the bug screens on the ventilation windows are in good shape. Another permanent way of keeping the cluster flies away is to let a professional exterminator apply a residual pyrethroid-based insecticide on the outside of your walls. This needs to be done during late summer and early fall because cluster flies prepare to hibernate at this time of the year. 4. Are cluster flies dangerous? Houseflies and blowflies are risky to cooking surfaces because of the nature of what they like to land on, and you might think cluster flies pose the same risk. When you see so many of these large, slow-moving flies, you might think there is something rotten, or they are contaminating the same places. The good news is, this is not the case. Yes, cluster flies are annoying when they start slowly buzzing around your head, but they are not considered dirty or a risk. Cluster flies are parasitic in nature, laying eggs in earthworm burrows so the larvae that hatch can feed on the worms. They do not lay eggs in human food and tend not to frequent rotting food or dead animals. Did this video help you? Let's comment below, yes or no.